While learning about wine is interesting, exciting, and fun, students have often struggled on how best to approach the study of wine. This video should help you on your journey. Each section will be divided into wine basics. You'll want to make a checklist that includes location, varietals, terroir, laws and labeling, and pairing. With some exceptions, grapes used for producing wine grow only between latitudes 30 to 50 degrees north and south of the equator. So that's 30 to 50 degrees north of the equator or 30 to 50 degrees south of the equator. This map highlights those areas. For example, France lies somewhere around 43 to 50 degrees north of the equator. It has 8 major regions, as you can see. 6 of those will be what we cover in class. As you can see, wine is grown all over the country of France. A subregion within France is Burgundy. Knowing the location of Burgundy, where it falls, the major water sources, and the general geographical location is important to know. Wine is more complex than just red and white. Grapes are the #1 crop grown worldwide. 70% of these grapes are actually grown to produce wine. The first type of grape that we'll be talking about in class and spending the majority of our time on is called Vitis vinifera. This is actually the #1 varietal or species used on a widespread basis to produce commercial wine. Subspecies of these are referred to as varietals, such as Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, etc. The next type of grape is a Vitis lambrusca. While Vitis lambrusca produces great grapes for eating and making grape juice, when fermented it does not produce a good wine. It produces a wine called foxy, which is not a great characteristic. As a result, winemakers have tried to look at what they call hybrids, the third type of grape. It's where they take the hardy characteristics of a Lambrusco that are disease resistant, etc., and try to combine that with a Vitis vinifera, which makes great grapes for wine, and combine those together in what they call hybrids. There has been some limited success. I do anticipate there being more hybrids in the future, and actually many winemakers throughout the United States are trying out these hybrids. This is a wine label from Chablis. Chablis is a sub-region of Burgundy, which, as we saw before, is in France. Often you can see the varietal listed on the label, and as you can see in this one, it is Chardonnay. Beyond the grape varietal used in a certain area and the practices of the winemaker, the combined natural aspect of a vineyard plays a major role in the overall quality and character of a wine. The French term for this is terroir. It has been adopted throughout the wine community, and basically it will refer to the impact of features such as soil, subsoil, slope, drainage, elevation, climate such as site exposure, temperature, rainfall, humidity levels, etc. Let's take, for example, soil. There are many different types of soils present in vineyards. Common examples would be clay, chalk, gravel, limestone. Grapevines can grow almost anywhere. However, the world's greatest sites have 2 things in common. The first thing is they're not very fertile. It's kind of like spoiled children. They don't grow up to work hard. You have to have soil that is not fertile for vines to produce good winemaking grapes. The next one is that soil regulates the supply of water to the vine. Slope is another aspect of a vineyard that has an effect on the final product of the wine. For example, a hillside vineyard has fewer problems with frost, but then they're steep and hard to work. However, if I have a southern-facing slope in the northern hemisphere, I end up getting better grapes in a cold climate because I have more sun and, again, more protection from the wind. Soil drainage is also important. The soil should ideally enable the roots access to water when needed, but also ensure that excess water is drained away so you don't have extremes of too little water or too much water. If the vines sit in water, if the roots of the vines sit in water, they will rot. Climate is a generalized term that encompasses several different key points. For example, temperature. The temperature of a vineyard has a great effect on the sugar-acid balance in a grape and helps to determine the resulting wine. So wines where the grapes are grown in a more warm climate are going to have higher sugar content. Precipitation or rainfall is key as well. Vines need about 20 to 30 inches of water annually. They can receive this through rainfall or if irrigation is allowed by law. Oftentimes, however, it is not allowed by law to irrigate a vineyard. Rain is particularly unwelcome during harvest when the water swells the berries and dilutes the sugar. So harvesting during the rainfall is not a good idea. Humidity makes for conditions where fungus and mold grows, and that's not good for grapes, so you don't want a high humidity. Fog can be good and bad, and we'll talk about that within specific regions. And wind can also have a favorable or a negative effect on a vineyard. Wind can interfere with the flowering and pollination process. It can pull the fruit off the vines. It can do a lot of things which are negative, but it also can cool an area or warm an area up depending on what's needed at the time. So these all have a great effect on the final bottle of wine that you drink. I have 4 characteristics listed here of the terroir of Chablis. Remember, Chablis is a sub-region which is in Burgundy, which is in France. And basically the topsoil is going to be a limestone, very famous area that results in a flinty minerality in the wines, very close to the Champagne region. Subsoil is going to be clay and it allows for great drainage. The south-facing slopes are going to be where the best wine is. They actually do have north-facing slopes as well. They do produce wines there, but those wines wouldn't be considered the premium wines of Chablis. Again, the soil allows for good drainage, and the climate is a semi-continental climate. It's on the cold side, as you can see, with it being close to the Champagne region of France. All of the terroir, the grape varietal, which is Chardonnay that is grown there, etc., really affects the taste. Chablis are world famous for their flinty minerality, and I strongly suggest if you are in the age bracket of 21 or older that you try some true Chablis from the Chablis region of France. Specific laws and labeling in a given region, sub-region, or country is very key. For example, the laws for wine labeling in California differ from those in Washington State. I have 2 wine labels here. The first one is from Chablis in Burgundy in France, and those wine labels look different than the one that is from Rioja, which is in Spain. As you can see, there are different terms that are on each one. As we go through each section, we'll learn about the specific laws of a given area or region and the specific labeling that you'll find on those wine bottles from those areas. I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of the basics on this, on both of these wine labels. For instance, on the left-hand side, you'll see the Chablis Grand Cru. As you note, Chablis is a region which is in Burgundy, which is in France. So that's the region, that's where the grapes come from. It is a Grand Cru. There are only 7 vineyard sites that allow for Grand Cru within the Chablis region. So this is the most premium, high-end wine that you can buy, and that is designated by law as Grand Cru. If you'll note, it says Chardonnay. This is actually the varietal. All Chablis are made with 100% Chardonnay grape. And this is placed on here for exportation only. If I bought this wine in France, I would not see the Chardonnay varietal on it because everybody from France would know enough about wines. As American consumers, we love to see that varietal on there. So they've actually passed a law in recent years allowing for that varietal to go on the label. You would see that in exported wines only. As we move to the wine label on the right-hand side, Rioja is a subregion or a region within Spain. It says estate bottled. What that means is that everything is produced on that estate. So all of the grapes are grown there, they're crushed there, fermentation takes place there. The wine is aged for whatever aging is going to happen, and then it is bottled and then distributed from the actual winery. So that means that's estate bottled, and by law it has everything has to be produced there. It gives us the Rioja, and it also states cosecha. Cosecha means harvest, and it means that the grapes were actually harvested in 2010. Food and wine pairing. We all want to know what to do as far as Thanksgiving dinner and how to pair our pumpkin pie, turkey, whatever it might be. Pairing for food and wine, each ought to complement the other and make the other better. So wine by itself might taste great, food by itself might taste great. It tastes even exponentially better when you put two together. So for example, Chablis, you want to balance the acidity with a cream sauce. You have a lighter taste profile with a Chablis, so you want lighter meat or fish. Lobster goes well, shellfish, etc. And fresh herbs, but you want to make sure that you have low spices. So a really spicy food would not work well with a Chablis. So for example, what's better than this chicken tarragon? I have given you a short and basic checklist. It is not comprehensive, but it is a basic checklist. When you go into each region and subregion in the wine world, learn about the location, learn about the varietals grown in that area. You need to know all of the aspects of the terroir that make that character and quality of wine, laws and labeling, and pairing. I hope you are excited to take this wine journey with me. While there will be moments of frustration, heartache, and pulling your hair out, it will well be worth it as you see the impressed looks of your friends, neighbors, and colleagues as you know more about wine.